Good morning. It's about 5:10 a.m. right now. I'm out here in the shop. I thought I'd come out early today and get things going here with a few videos before I actually come out and get some work done out here. But I want to talk about a controversial subject, although I don't think it should be. It's just kind of common sense, but I want to say that I believe that using artificial intelligence is a sin. And the three reasons for that I'll give you real quick, then I'll get into the scriptures. Number one, it's idolatry. Number two, it's job destruction. I mean, what's the point of artificial intelligence? It's to take away jobs from people, which is a problem. And number three, it's prophecy. There's end times prophecies that show that artificial intelligence will be part of the mark of the beast system, worshiping the beast and the image of the beast. We'll get into that here in a minute. But before I get started, I want to solve a riddle, which one of my viewers already solved. Let me know what it was. This thing right here, what is it? It's a circular saw blade sharpener. Okay, that's why on the back of it right here, if I can try to get that on camera, on the back in this area, it's actually somewhat abrasive. You can't really see it too great there. Let me try to get my flashlight out here. See the abrasive nature of it? It's kind of like little grooves in there. That's the part that files the back of the saw tooth here. I'll put up a picture of it here that I found online. It's an Andrus saw file, if I'm saying that correctly. And that would also explain why I found this in the office, right over there, here in the shop. And here on page 57, it shows a guy with a different sharpening system. There it's like an electric one, not a manual saw sharpener, but you have to sharpen these little things here, much the way that you would sharpen the cutter here on the chainsaw chain, and then this little thing that sticks up, can't see it too good, I'm not going to hold up the saw, but then you have the raker there. So you have to file your cutters and make sure your raker's at the right height on your chainsaw. So it's very similar to a circular sawmill in terms of you have to sharpen the little tooth area there. That's how you keep the sawmill sharp. In other words, the area in here, like that. But I said that for a reason. I brought this up for a reason. Interesting, you say, well, that's not really relevant to the study. Well, actually, yes, it is, because a lot of you out there took an image of this thing when I was holding it up, this Andrus saw file here, and you took an image of it and you asked some kind of stupid AI program what it was, and the retarded AI, artificial intelligence, was saying it was a can opener. Meaning you can't rely on artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is not some all-knowing thing that just figures it all out. It's still programmed by somebody. And the disturbing trend is that a lot of people are just, artificial intelligence is the new God or something like that. Any question that you have, Alexa, what's the this or the that? You need to look things up. Okay. Again, I think I've told this story before, but I knew an older woman when we were in Bridgewater, and she had worked at the post office ever since she was young. And she said, she came in, I had to send something to one of my viewers in another country. I forget even where it was, but I think I had an order for an external hard drive thing. And I came in there and she had to go through all this computer stuff, and she was just so confused by the whole thing. And she said, I just learned the last system and the postal system changed it again. And she said, every time they make it more high tech, it gets harder to learn and it doesn't function properly. She said, back in the old days, back in, 20, 30 years ago, she said it was all paper. She said, I could have had you out of here in about, 5 to 10 minutes, with sending to an international, another country. And the computer thing is making things actually more difficult while seemingly making it more, easier. And a lot of people are deceived into thinking that artificial intelligence is just this great idea. It's not. And it's the same thing with GPS. I used GPS different times when we were moving up here to Maine, and programmed it the same way and whatever, and it would take me on some completely different route. The one time it tried to take me up through Canada. I mean, it was ridiculous. And I talked to a guy up here, a realtor that I was using at the time, and he said, yeah, he just kind of laughed, and he said, you can't get away from paper maps. He said, the younger generation, he said, they're just going along and, oh, GPS will get me there. Well, maybe, but I've had places, where the GPS didn't do very good. And I remember bought a motorcycle long ago, back before I even was married, and won it on eBay, and I had to go pick it up. And the guy, when I contacted him, he said, don't use GPS. He said, for some reason the GPS system's messed up, and he said, it won't get you to my property, it takes you to some other place. And he gave me he said, get a pencil and paper, I'll write this down. Oh, well, we'll get better. No, actually you won't. And if you study the Bible prophecy, you can see that the Antichrist system only lasts for 7 years. And after 3.5 years, after halfway through, it's breaking down. So remember those prophecies. All the stuff of someday we're going to be like the Jetsons, flying around in little, hover cars and whatever, and we'll have electric, solar powered everything, free energy and whatever. It's all lies. They're marketing lies to you. The Antichrist system is going to actually fail. A lot of people have this weird notion that there's this, the Antichrist system is going to be the most powerful world government ever. It lasts 3.5 years. Remember that. All right. I'm just going to go through these scriptures very quickly here because I've them typed out. But idolatry. Artificial intelligence is idolatry. We're seeing that with people. There's an artificial intelligence Jesus. One of my friends of the ministry here, sent me a bunch of videos, and I was looking at some of the stuff, and the youth are saying that there's this AI Jesus or something, and you can ask this all of your issues, and they're going, and I need relationship advice, with the AI Jesus will tell me what to do. And they literally said in the thing, it was a Catholic church, and they said, just remember that the AI Jesus is not a replacement for, and I thought, the real Jesus, they said, for your priest. I thought, well, that's right, because the Catholic Church teaches that the priest is another Christ. So, they don't encourage a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. You need to have a personal relationship with your local priest. A little bit of a problem there. But idolatry, James chapter 1, verse 5. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. Sometimes God wants you to ask him and wait for the answer. Sometimes he's going to try your patience. Sometimes he's going to have to show you what long-suffering means. No, Brother Brian, you don't understand here. I can just pick up, here's a little thing. This isn't a smartphone, but I'm just pretending I don't have a smartphone. I'm too smart for a smartphone. But yeah, I pick up my smartphone and I can, hey, what's the answer to this question? Oh, it gives me an answer right away. Oh, kind of like the sol file there. Oh, it's a can opener. And you're going around saying, oh yeah, that's a can opener there that Brother Brian showed on the video. You were deceived. AI made a mistake. And what it took one of my viewers that actually has some experience with circular sawmills, and he said, I have 2 of those. Maybe you should look around and ask around. There have been many times I've been seeking an answer to a question, and I pray about it. At first I'm not going to bother the Lord if it's just some kind of thing of, I want something for breakfast here this morning. Lord, what should I make for breakfast? Well, I don't have to ask him things like that. You don't have to ask him should I blink my eyes? Should I breathe? There are some things that you don't need to ask the Lord's advice on. It's just common sense stuff that he's made it theirs. You eat whatever you want. It doesn't matter. All right. But there are other things, other questions that you'll have in life, and those things, sometimes you want to wait for the answer. Sometimes the Lord's doing a work there. Lord, who should I marry? How can I find a girlfriend in this wicked world that we live in currently? Should I find a girlfriend and whatever? Oh no, I can just get on my little thing here and ask, where can I find single girls at? or something, and then the computer, idiot thing that it is, comes out and says, you can find girls at your blah, 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 blah. Oh, thank you. I have a problem with that. And I realize I have axes on my wall here, and it's just so slow to cut, chop wood with an axe and whatever else, which it's not if it's properly sharpened and everything. It's actually a lot of fun. But, and I realize that my chainsaws also now are outdated. This is a 1997 394 XP right here, and that's just too old and outdated. We don't use those anymore. We use feller bunchers now here in northern Maine, which they do. Guys out, felling trees by hand. That's so slow, it's crazy. So you go from this up here and crosscut saws over there. You can see the little bit of one. You go from crosscut saws and axes to chainsaws, and now the big $1 million machines that you drive through the woods and just sit in there, drinking your energy drink or whatever, and just grab the tree and cut it off and go down, and then it just slides through and cut it and just breaking the branches off. You don't even have to saw those off anymore. There's, what is it? Well, in the past, it would take a logging crew could be 20, 30 men up maybe to 50 or 100 or 100 if it's a bigger operation. Talking about in the 1800s with crosscut saws and axes. Then you go into the logging thing, and then you can, get rid of some of the men, and because now you have skidders and you don't have to have teams of oxen or, horse logging or anything like that, which is still actually pretty efficient too if you know how to do that. And then you go down to just a machine, and it does the work. You don't have to have a guy bucking the trees or limbing the trees or even felling the trees. You still have a skidder to drag the logs out and things, but you see what's happening? We need to employ quite a few men. Oh, we need less men. Oh, we need fewer men. Now you have just a few. Less than 10 guys can fell, 100, 200 acres of land in almost no time at all now with these machines. Yeah, I mean, the damage to the property is pretty substantial because, you're just bashing into smaller trees and just driving through things. And I mean, you should go to some of the, well, most people can't, but if you'd ever see, there's a place up in the town of Holton, that way, they work on old skidders and old logging machines and things. Boy, you should see how those things are after a few years of use. I mean, just, skid plates are smashed up in, and the big chunks of rubber out of the big tires on the skidders and things. It's hard on the equipment, but you get insurance, you get, special deals and whatever else. See? And now, of course, they're trying to take away the men that are even driving the feller bunchers. Now it'll just be AI. Heard a thing recently of a guy that said he was visiting a farmer friend, and he said he's sitting there on the porch, and he said he's watching the combine and the truck going behind it, and the combine's getting the weed, I guess, or something, I think it was, and it's going through the machine and it's blowing into the truck like this, driving along, and it goes down and turns, and they go back this way and turns and goes this way on the field. Nobody even driving it, either vehicle. And the farmer said, I'm getting ahead of myself here a little bit, but I'll just tell the story. The farmer said, this is the best thing that ever happened to me. He said, I used to have to employ, 20 people. He said, I got one guy out there watching it, making sure everything's fine. He said, I have another truck that comes up and refuels both of them. And he said, I can run this thing 24 hours a day. My employees, they'd get sick, they'd get tired, they needed time off, they want to eat, and whatever. Artificial intelligence, I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. And by you using it, by you saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to use AI for this because I'll save money. Well, guess what? You're putting somebody out of work. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's get back to the thing of idolatry. Exodus chapter 20, verse 3, the very first commandment in the Bible, thou shalt have no other gods before me. And the desire of your heart is your God. Heard a guy say that the one time. I thought that's a pretty good statement. Who do you think about the most? Who do you, if you go in and have a time of trouble and whatever, who are you contacting first? Well, a lot of people, it's now artificial intelligence. And there's a much deeper spiritual reason, like I said earlier, why God might want you to not have the answer just right away. And well, but Brother Brian, God is for the spiritual questions and artificial intelligence is just for the secular stuff. Well, you know what? I've actually had times where God has done things for me in the physical realm. I remember when we were moving here to Maine, I had a U-Haul truck, and then behind the U-Haul, I had a car hauler behind that, an open trailer, and I had my Ford Ranger on it, and that's what I had back in those years when we first moved here. And I prayed, and the whole way I was just praying, Lord, please keep us safe. We moved here in January, so we hit some slippery roads coming up, and just, Lord, please keep us safe. Please help us to get there. And when we were coming down the driveway at my parents' place where I was unloading my stuff and loading it into the U-Haul to come up here, when I was backing around, I actually pinched the one wire on the wiring harness, and it actually severed it. And so the whole way from Pennsylvania to Maine, I never realized it till I got into Maine, and I had to stop someplace, and I looked. There were no lights on the trailer the whole way. I went past multiple police officers, and they didn't do anything about it the whole way. And then I got up to the one area not far from the house we had bought in Bridgewater. And I got there, and I realized that the straps over the front tires to keep it on the truck on the trailer, the straps actually had fallen off. And it was just sitting there. The truck's just sitting there on the trailer, not strapped down anymore. What happened? God helped me. I didn't need artificial intelligence. And I've had times where I've been lost or other bad things happen, and just, okay, Lord, please help me get out of this thing. And Lord answers prayers. You don't need artificial intelligence. Again, always remember, when you have your smartphone or your other technologies and things, even computers, whatever, people lived for thousands of years without that stuff. I mean, you have to either survive out in the countryside, or you have to go to the smart city, where you'll get your universal basic income and will own everything, but you'll be happy. Yeah, it's already true for a lot of people. They don't own anything. It's all just debt-based, but you'll own everything, or you'll own nothing, but you'll be happy. And you say, well, what am I going to do out here? I've talked about this. I've thought about this in my mind. What happens if they say, okay, all the countryside areas, we're going to be, mining and raping the forest like crazy, so we don't want anybody there. So we're going to pull off like I talked about my one study, my one walk and talk. We're going to destroy the area like they did in North Carolina and in Florida, and the Lahaina fire. Somebody brought that up. I forgot to mention that, in Hawaii. And, these different areas out there in California and things, directed energy weapons and whatever, all things that they do to destroy the area. And I remember there was one, I can't remember where it was, what state it was in, but there was this one, and they actually, I just see a mouse walking across the floor there. Sorry. I have to get my dog out here. He likes to kill mice. Rat terrier, that's what he does. But I forget where it was, but there was a forest fire, and they said, we need to evacuate the whole area. And the people said, no, we're not going anywhere. We're actually going to fight the forest fire ourselves. And they did, and they stopped the forest fire. And it was just kind of they were supposed to leave, they weren't supposed to stay there and actually fight the thing and whatever. Yeah. If you trust this government, you're very foolish. People need to start standing up and saying, oh, it's okay. Oh, we can't have electricity in the area? Well, I'm going to heat with wood. Oh, you won't give us gas for our chainsaws? Well, there's another way we can do it. You say, oh, you couldn't do firewood with a chainsaw? I have. Or with a axe, excuse me. Yes, I have. Take a little bit longer, but it's possible. There's different ways to do it. But see, if you just are into this AI thing, I want to go where the Wi-Fi connection's good, so my artificial intelligence God is there for me all the time. That's why I love going out into the wilderness areas up here in northern Maine, because cell phones don't even work out there. And there's a lot of areas I purposefully bought a GPS just to see which roads would work and things on it. A lot of them don't even work. Got an old used GPS and stuff, and the maps were updated, so don't say, oh, the maps aren't updated. Yes, they were. And there were a lot of areas where the roads have been there for probably a century or more. And now the mouse is over here, up on the countertop. But anyhow, the whole thing is a lot of the roads weren't even there with it. So just give me 1 minute here. All right, back. Sorry about that. It's a little bit distracting when you see a mouse running around. And if you don't understand, you say, oh, it's a God's creature or whatever. Mice do a lot of damage. They chew into wires. They chew into all kinds of things. So I'm going to have to get some mouse traps out here. But first one I've seen since we've been here. So I figured that they were probably around. Saw some signs of them, but I wasn't sure if they were active or whatever. So yeah, going to need to take care of that. And I don't need artificial intelligence to tell me what to do. But 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13 and 14, there hath no temptation taken you, but such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able to bear, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it. Wherefore, my dearly beloved, flee from idolatry. If you are putting anything before God, it's idolatry. Plain and simple. And like I said, there are so many times that you want an answer to a prayer, and God has you wait for a very specific reason. But if you are using artificial intelligence and that's becoming your God, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God. It doesn't say let him ask of his artificial intelligence thing. And if you are asking AI for everything and God never gets any time from you to work in your life, you've fallen into some idolatry. And the temptations that are there, God will not suffer you to be tempted above that you're able to bear. He'll make a way out, but you have to wait on his timing. So idolatry is problem number one. Number two, job destruction. That's a big one to me. You look at the whole thing of what artificial intelligence is going to do, and what these people see. Again, the propaganda here is we're going to have artificial intelligence that's going to make people's lives easier. What they're saying by that is it's going to make their lives easier. The corporate bosses and everything else. That wicked farmer that's there and he's saying, oh, the best thing that ever happened to me. I don't even have to be out in the fields anymore and whatever. See, it's making his life easier. But he just fired all of his employees. So the people that were there in the countryside that were there working at a farm, now they don't have a job. What are they going to do? Not my problem, I'm making money. And they're trying to make it so that the people that worked at the grocery stores, oh, now their jobs are gone as well. Oh, you're not needed here anymore because we have the self-checkout lines. See, that's the way things are going. And what you have to understand is the Bible teaches that you are supposed to make your living in some kind of physical labor or some kind of a thing. You have to do some kind of physical labor that you're supposed to be sweating. Let me show you that. Genesis chapter 3, verse 19. In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread till thou return unto the ground, for out of it wast thou taken. For dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return. The best job that you can get is one where you're outside working. You get vitamin D from the sun, you sweat, and you're also in contact with the dirt. Very important. Dirt actually has quite a bit of health benefits to it. When you're working in it and things like that, it's a great antidepressant, actually. Very interesting. But you see, we have to get away from that because time is money, right? And we need to be able to have jobs where we don't have to think about employees' rights or benefits or anything like that. Very bad. And see, again, understand what the mark of the beast system is. Again, I'm getting ahead of myself, the prophecy thing coming up here. But understand what the mark of the beast system is. The mark of the beast system is the elimination of free will. you come to the smart city. There's no way that they're going to be able to implement the mark of the beast over the whole earth. In terms of you just people stay out in the countryside and everything. There's just freedom to do whatever you want. And it's the mark of the beast technology is available to everybody or everywhere. No, it's not. It will be smart cities. That's what they want. And you perish out there in the countryside. There's no food, there's no power, there's no whatever, and you're going to be forced to leave. That's what these idiots want to do. That's what they're ultimately planning. And if you become so dependent upon technology, and some of this stuff might be implemented too before the catching up of the body of Christ. I know today's the 21st or 22nd or something, so the rapture is going to be today or tomorrow or this week, certainly, because of the Feast of Trumpets thing and whatever. Okay, just the same thing for the last how many years, and it doesn't happen. But we're supposed to labor, brethren, to stay on my point here. 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, verses 10 and 11 says, "For even when we were with you, this we commanded you, that if any would not work, neither should he eat. For we hear that there are some which walk among you disorderly, working not at all, but are busybodies." Working not at all is condemned in Scripture. And in fact, it goes so far as to say that if you don't work, you shouldn't eat. Try not eating for a while. You should get no food. Before long, you're going to start to say, you know what? I think I better start working. And that's a big part of the problem here in America, especially in the West. There are a lot of people that don't work at all, and yet they're eating just fine in rebellion against the Word of God. And it's commanded you, not suggested. But see, when you use artificial intelligence, you're going to be pushing more people into that system of unemployment. That's the whole point of it. How can you use it? I heard a guy here just the other day, and he was talking about the thing of marketing, and he said, he does some kind of whatever, office type of job, and he said, in the past, he said, when I would have a commercial made or a video made or something, he said, a 30-second commercial would cost me, thousands of dollars, and if I'm, call up some film company or something, and they'd have to design this thing, and it takes, the whole team there, if there's animation or music or whatever, it takes them a few days and they can get this thing done and really do a good job. And he said, or I can use artificial intelligence right now. And he said, it's done in 30 minutes and it costs me $1.50. And he said, you'd be crazy not to use artificial intelligence. And I thought, yeah, but what you're doing there is you're destroying somebody's line of work. Oh, you're no good anymore. We're just going to watch for movies and for entertainment and whatever. We're going to watch a bunch of artificial intelligence generated, fake, not even real stuff. And I'll tell you this right now, I will promise you, you'll never see artificial intelligence on this channel, ever, for any reason. But, hey, I guess eventually some of my viewers will probably just say, hey, we can go someplace else. And I'd rather watch some artificial intelligence, robot guy or something doing something than a real man there. I'd rather see a guy which has a perfect beard and no hairs out of place and no whatever and just doesn't make mistakes and just, says everything just right. Got some weird issues. Finally, prophecy. The third reason I'm against artificial intelligence, and I don't think Christians should be using it. I mean, if you're lost, you're going to hell, whatever. It doesn't matter. You don't have any need for any kind of moral laws or common sense type of things. You don't believe in the God who created you, so don't waste your time on this. But if you're saved, the Holy Spirit of truth is supposed to be there and convict you of sin. All right. Revelation chapter 13, verse 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Can we see that technology today? You get back in the 1960s and they're trying to draw all this stuff out. People have big 666, on their heads or whatever, and the image is some kind of statue or something that's moving. No. We have all kinds of technology that's way beyond that, way advanced to that. People worshiping an image, you know, and to use my little prop here, you know, bowing to the image. See it all the time. People walking around and just in this zombified state. The girl from Ukraine that got stabbed in the neck by that savage black devil. And that's what he was. If he was a white man, I'd call him a savage white devil. And she's on her phone. Doesn't even realize the guy's opening up his folding knife. Stands up behind her. Spending time with her God. Revelation chapter 14, verses 9 through 11. What happens if you worship this image in the future? And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever. The smoke of their torment. It isn't just a quick thing and whatever else. No, they get burned forever. You're given an eternal body so that you can suffer forever. Better think about that. Ascendeth up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. But you're okay. A Christian can, you know, partake of the early footsteps, you know, leading up to that. Come on. I mean, okay. We won't be here for it, so we can partake of it and things to draw other lost people into it. They'll see us using it and they'll say, well, I guess it's okay. I guess the Christians aren't really against it, so I guess it's all right to use. Matthew chapter 18, verse 7. Woe unto the world because of offenses, for it must needs be that offenses come, but woe to that man by whom the offense cometh. The prophecies of Scripture will come to pass, but don't help them come to pass. Well, Denlinger, you look like you're some kind of radical, wild-eyed, you know, crazy country nut or whatever else. Good, good. Hey, you know what? If you're an atheist out there and you're still watching this because you like to see me make a fool of myself in your mind, you better take heed to what I'm saying. Okay? It's not a good thing. I remember seeing a guy from Silicon Valley, and he moved out in the middle of nowhere and lives in a trailer with chickens and has an AR-15 and whatever else, and he's saying, would people realize what we've done by creating this artificial intelligence stuff? When they realize that we're destroying their lives, I'm scared for my life. I'm afraid that they're going to come for me. Yeah, for good reason. Oh, we're going to be saving the industry lots of money because, hey, you know what? People aren't needed anymore. We don't need employees. We don't need people out there sweating in the fields. We don't need people out there sweating in construction. Loggers out there learning how to fell a tree. Which way is it leaning? What type of face? Should I do a Humboldt, or should I do a conventional cut here? What's going uphill? Probably Humboldt would keep it on the stump better. And how much hinge wood should I leave? And it's leaning slightly to the left. Do I need wedges, or maybe I should use my tree jack? Or no. We don't need any of that stuff. Just send the robot out to do it. We don't need men in the logging camps. We don't need men at the sawmill. We don't need people living out in the countryside anymore. Let's just bring them all into the smart cities. You want the newest technology? Internet of Things? And we can use the people as antennas walking around and things because we'll inject them with metal particles and things like this, graphene oxide and whatever else. We'll just use the people, and we'll just kind of do the. What a nightmare world. But Christians are going to help to bring it in, because I see a lot of Christians, they have no standards. They just, come on. God help you. That's all I can say. If you're helping to bring this thing in, if you're saying, I'm not going to support a real man, meaning I'm not artificial. I can get other work done. I can get other things done and whatever else. you know, I've been away from the wood turning art world for a long time, and I finally got my lathe here yesterday. I brought it in my truck. We were down at the property. I did the video about that, and I got a bunch of more machines, and I have to get rid of the big metal lathe over here, and I'm going to be putting in another lathe, and then my original little lathe that I had, I'm going to teach my son wood turning. But you know, I got to thinking about this, and I thought, but you know what? There's probably not even going to be a market for it. Oh, we have artificial intelligence that can create better wooden bowls than you can make. Huh. Hey, you know what? Yeah, you want to get a job in the logging industry up here, you know, just as a side job, or you want to do, oh, that's okay, because we have machines that took your work from you. I mean, what future does my son have? Hey, you can get into photography. Oh, that's right, artificial intelligence is better than you. They can create things that are completely fake, and that's what people want. Well, you can write. Oh, artificial intelligence can do that better too. Well, you can do some video production like your father did. Oh, that's right, artificial intelligence can overtake that. Are you enabling that system? Are you helping that system to come in? Or are you some kind of spineless little coward that says there's no point in fighting against any of this stuff because it's all going to just happen anyhow, so there's nothing we can do about it? I get so sick and tired of hearing these patriots. Yeah, and they'll say this thing of, well, you know, there isn't anything we can do. You know, the central bank digital currency stuff is coming in, and you know, I don't like it, but it's just the way the world's going. Well, if that's your philosophy, there's nothing you can do to stop something that's inevitable. You aren't going to bother fighting against it, then stop eating. I mean, you're going to die anyhow someday, right? Why bother eating? You're just fighting the inevitable process of your death. Stupid. What a foolish thing to do. I'm going to fight against artificial intelligence. I will never use artificial intelligence. I'll never even have a smartphone. I'm going to fight that stuff. Radical, crazy, a militant, backwoods preacher, whatever you want to call me. Thank you. Yes, I'm glad you realize that. I'm not for it. And please don't post your comments anymore about I checked with ChatGPT or Grok or whatever. I don't want to hear about it. Okay? I'm going to be real careful about showing things anymore in my videos, because I don't want people to just, you know, I hold up some kind of plant or some kind of a whatever and say, does anybody know what this is? I'm looking for somebody that actually has real world experience. I'm not looking for somebody who takes a picture of it or something, or screenshots it and then says, okay, hey, ChatGPT, what is this? You're in sin. Plain and simple. So that is going to be it. I pray you take heed to my words. Okay. One of the biggest jobs of a preacher is I have to preach against sin, because all sin is negative. One of the central themes of this ministry. I preach against sin because sin is destructive. Sin will ruin you. So you don't like it? Well, I saw a comment yesterday and this guy said, I wish I'd never given you any money at all. Donated to the ministry. I don't know what that was all about. He didn't elaborate or anything like that, but you know, I'm real sorry. I'm sorry I offended you, but you know, if you understood, you'd probably realize that actually it was me trying to help you. So that's going to be it for this video. What more can I say? But thank you very much for watching. See you in upcoming studies.